and good evening to all the viewers. And I'll be delivering a lecture on the practical application of OCT in glaucoma. And I have no financial disclosures. And before I start, I just want to thank residents of RP Center who are, instrumental in collecting all the OCT pictures and cases which we use for these lectures. So I owe it to them. So let me start by a practical case presentation of somebody who recently visited me. So this was the vice chancellor of a major academic university in India, and he came with pressure of 21 to 22 and a corneal thickness of 525 to 530 micron right and left eye. Vertical cup-disc ratio looked to be 0.8 is to 1, and he was already started on latanoprost therapy, which is of course a lifelong therapy. And he came to me for a second opinion, and he showed me his visual fields, and he said there was some dark spots here. And so the doctor said that you have glaucoma and you should be on this therapy for lifetime. Now, important thing to understand is that whenever you do the visual field for the first time, many patients are not cooperative, and you can see here fixation losses mark 2 axis and low test reliability. And this is the disc of the patient. So although there is a large cup disc ratio, but there is no defect in the neuroretinal rim. So after seeing the fundus, we did the OCT, and on the OCT, this is a retinal nerve fiber layer, and you can see the report within normal limits. So based on the disc which appeared healthy and the OCT which appeared completely within normal limits, and I disregarded the scotomas on the visual field because there was a low test reliability. And so I asked the patient that he should not take therapy. He does not seem to have glaucoma, and he should review after 6 to 12 months. Now, this is very important that you should never take the patient off the hook. You don't say that you don't have glaucoma and you don't need to come to me. What you can say is at the moment, it doesn't seem to be glaucoma, but you're not sure of what will happen in the future. So always tell the patient to review after 6 to 12 months. So based on the optical coherence tomography report and correlating with the clinical examination, we could move the patient off glaucoma therapy and tell him that currently he does not have glaucoma. Now, in the clinical scenario, if a patient has got pseudo exfoliation, or the patient has got disc hemorrhages or cardiovascular disease, these are three red signals. These patients need much closer follow-up because they can progress very faster. So even though your clinical examination is normal, if there is a suspected case with pseudo exfoliation, you must call them more frequently, maybe after 4 months to review, because they can progress very fast. Now, this was another case. This is our one of our residents' brother. He presented with high IOPs and CCT was 540 micron. And on examination, he was having healthy disc and normal visual fields. And he had been already examined by 2, 3 ophthalmologists. So this is the patient's optic disc, and I presented this to a lot of residents in RP Center, and mostly people think it's a physiological cupping and it's a very healthy disc. There is no notching, so everything seems okay. So mostly he was diagnosed as not having glaucoma, and he can just be on follow-up. And this was the visual field of the patient. You can see within normal limits and within normal limits. So He was diagnosed as not having glaucoma because the field is normal and optic disc also appears normal. There is no notching. So visual field normal. And now when you see the optical coherence tomography, this of course I'll come to detail later on. Right eye with normal limits, left eye outside normal limits. And if you see what is going wrong, the superior quadrant, so superior retinal nerve fiber layer is damaged. And this is quite a gross damage. If you see comparison of right eye and left eye, this eye there is a deviation. And if you see inferior versus superior, again there is deviation. So grossly superior retinal nerve fiber layer is outside normal limit. And then when you go back to the disc pictures and focus here superiorly versus inferiorly, there is a superior retinal nerve fiber layer loss, which we have missed on clinical examination. And once you see that OCT is showing abnormality, then you go back to the fundus picture. You can see right eye and this is left eye. And here you see definitely this area superiorly on the red free image, there is a dark area of red wedge shaped retinal nerve fiber layer loss. So based on this OCT evaluation correlating with the RNFL defect visible on the fundus photograph, we could diagnose that the patient is not suspect. Definitely he has got evidence of preperimetric glaucoma, and with high IOPs, he should be started on therapy. So these two cases highlight how we use the OCT basically to aid in our clinical diagnosis, either to rule out glaucoma or rule in glaucoma when our clinical examination has missed the critical finding. And that is what I want to highlight in this lecture. So whenever any patient walks into your OPD, you ask 3 questions regarding your patient if he has glaucoma or no. So first question is, does the patient have glaucoma or no? This is what you are asked to do in the OPD. The second question is, if he has glaucoma, is the angle open or is the angle closed? And thirdly, on follow-up, you have to answer whether patient is stable on therapy or is the disease worsening. So glaucoma basically, if you answer these 3 questions, then you will be a successful glaucoma clinician. So whenever you ask the first question whether patient has glaucoma or no, and especially early glaucoma, instead of focusing on the optic disc, you should start focusing on the retinal nerve fiber layer. Now here, if you see the superior retinal nerve fiber layer, these white striations are visible. And compare this with the inferior retinal nerve fiber layer. Here, blood vessels are clearly visible because there is a wedge-shaped RNFL defect. So if you want to pick up early glaucoma, learn to look at the retinal nerve fiber layer. Clearly, there is evidence of inferior retinal nerve fiber level damage and inferior notching. So patient has glaucomatous damage. Second question is, of course, you have to answer whether patient has got an open angle or angle closure. Is the iris obstructing the trabecular meshwork? And that you do with help of gonioscopy. And thirdly, you have to answer the question whether patient has progressed over time. And for that, you need to measure the retinal nerve fiber layer defect. So very easy way of measuring it is to just see the location of this defect and the distance from the blood vessels. So if you see the patient on follow-up and this retinal nerve fiber defect merges with these 2 blood vessels, that means the defect has progressed. So objectively, you can measure the increase in the retinal nerve fiber layer defect, and that can tell you whether the patient is progressing or no simply on the fundus photograph. And for glaucoma patient, it is better to take color as well as red-free photograph. So now the main question often asked is that, is it essential to have OCT in a glaucoma clinic or no? Can you have a glaucoma practice without an OCT? So is it essential? The answer is no. the OCT is not essential for a glaucoma practice. However, you can see the OCT is becoming very popular. And there are many reasons that although it is not essential, why it is becoming such a popular modality of investigations. So there are two reasons. One is, of course, there is a lot of commercial pressure. So recently we were planning to buy the Cirrus 6000 OCT for RP Center, and we have a rule that you have to have, a 5 years warranty and plus additional 5 years. So the approximate cost is coming to 1.4 crore rupees. So you can imagine that it is a very, very expensive machine. And if you are going to acquire this machine, then how will you get back the investment value? So what is happening is that once you are buying the OCT, then every patient who is coming in, you are getting the OCT done. And that is mainly due to commercial pressure. But now many patients come to my OPD, and before you examine them, they tell that they have been asked to get an OCT done. And so some of them say that please हमारा रंगीन X-ray आप कर दीजिए या करवा दीजिए, because they know in RP center it is free of cost. So that is one reason why every patient is getting an OCT done. And for clinicians, why OCT is now becoming so popular? Because it is like a shortcut that you see the patient and you immediately order OCT. There is no need for a detailed clinical examination. There is no need for visual field. If the OCT is abnormal, you start the patient on therapy. So in 5 minutes, you can make diagnosis and start the patient on therapy. However, this is a very wrong approach, and a lot of patients are being misdiagnosed with this approach. So I would warn you against using the OCT as a shortcut. You must do detailed examination and visual field, and OCT just comes in to help you. It is not a shortcut to clinical examination, and you cannot do away with the visual fields. So if the OCT is not essential, then what is essential to have in a glaucoma clinic? The most important machine is to have a fundus photograph or a disc photograph. That has to be taken very carefully, and this will serve over the lifetime of the patient, because this modality, the software, hardware does not change. So you can compare 20-year-old photographs with the current photograph and clearly tell whether patient is progressing or no. So learn to document a image of the retinal nerve fiber layer as well as the disc photograph. And here in this photograph, you can see there is an inferior retinal nerve fiber layer defect. So again, I'm emphasizing learn to look at the retinal nerve fiber layer. Disc appears quite healthy to most people, but they will miss this retinal nerve fiber layer defect. So I gave this as a OSCE in the exam to my residents, and whether this eye has glaucoma and this eye is glaucoma. So some of them said no glaucoma, some of them said both have glaucoma, and majority said this looks like larger cup disc ratio. And none of them looked at the retinal nerve fiber layer. If you see here, there is retinal nerve fiber layer defect. So this is the eye which is looking like a healthy disc, but there is a retinal nerve fiber layer damage. On careful clinical exam, that is very important to pick up. And if you see the published literature, what is the additive role of OCT? So they found that it did not significantly enhance the diagnostic accuracy of detecting glaucoma, especially for glaucoma specialists. And the retinal nerve fiber photographs were better for diagnosis. But you have to be trained in looking at the photograph and also taking the photograph. That is very important. And one important thing is that if your fundus camera, of course, we take red-free photographs, but especially for myopic eyes, you can also use a blue filter, what generates a orange-free visibility. And when you use the blue filter, the retinal nerve fiber layer defect become more visible. So that is an additional hint. When you take a fundus photograph, you can also use a blue filter, especially in myopic eyes, there is retinal degeneration. And this is shows the multiple, it's called a multicolor fundus photograph, which you get on the spectralis OCT. And here you can see green reflectance and blue reflectance. So very clearly you can see there is an inferior retinal nerve fiber layer damage. So before you analyze the OCT, try and analyze the disc photograph or the fundus photograph generated by the OCT. So this is a multicolor photograph, and clearly you can see there is an inferior retinal nerve fiber layer damage both on green and blue reflectance, very nicely visible. So patient clearly has glaucoma. So learn to focus on the retinal nerve fiber layer defect and try to see the distance of this defect from the adjacent blood vessels, and on follow-up you can see whether this defect is increasing or it is static. So the first take-home message is that you have seen how radiologists read a CT scan or MRI. So the same way you should learn to read the disc photograph in detail, both retinal nerve fiber layer all around the disc and the neuroretinal rim, and see for subtle changes of glaucoma. Now the key question is that why are we continuously focusing on the retinal nerve fiber layer? That is because this is the earliest detectable sign of glaucoma. The nerve fiber layer loss precedes the visual field loss, and it also precedes the optic disc changes. So the RNFL defects are the earliest sign of glaucoma, and they will precede the disc changes and the visual field changes, and that is why you are measuring the retinal nerve fiber layer. Now there is a concept in glaucoma OCT that is known as a tipping point. So this is the level of RNFL thickness at which visual field defects appear. Now this is the concept of pre-perimetric glaucoma. Like we have been taught earlier that 25 to 40% of the retinal ganglion cells are to be destroyed before a visual field defect appears. So this is the concept of the tipping point, that basically means that there is a threshold for RNFL thickness. So when the average RNFL thickness goes below 75 microns, then you get defects on the standard automated perimetry. So this point is known as a tipping point, where you start getting the functional damage in the visual field, and before that it is only detected by RNFL loss. So based on this model, they have calculated that actually you can get up to 17% structural loss before the defects start to appear on standard automated perimetry. Now there is a catch in this, because this has been done using the standard 24-2 CETA standard perimetry. However, if you want to pick up early defects on functional testing, then you have to use 10-2 perimetry test or the recently launched 24-2C, which takes additional central 10 points. So this was based on the 24-2 standard CETA standard algorithms. But if you use this 10-2, then you will pick up the visual field defects at a much earlier stage. And this, what we used to say 25 to 40% loss, that may not be there. You can pick up the functional damage at a much earlier stage. If you're suspecting glaucoma, then you should do a central 10-degree field, and you can pick up glaucoma at an earlier stage as compared to the 24-2 perimetry. The 24-2C program is still under evaluation. The advantage is that you do not need to do two programs. So both 24 and 10, you don't need to do. This amalgamates the 10-degree strategy with the 24 strategy what you have been using. So in one test, you can get the central points also. So why are we using OCT in glaucoma practice? It gives a objective evaluation measurement of the optic nerve head, the retinal nerve fiber layer, and the ganglion cell complex. It provides a baseline data. So you have a baseline of all these parameters which you can follow up over time to determine progression. And definitely, as I showed you, it can help to diagnose glaucoma at an earlier stage as compared to conventional 24-2 or 30-2 perimetry. And once you get defects on the OCT, then that is predictive of a future visual field loss in the opposite quadrant. So it can predict that patient is going to get a functional damage in the future. That is the utility of OCT in current practice. Now OCT has got a lot of parameters. So which parameter to use? So now you have lamina cribrosa imaging, you have the OCT angiography, you have macula GCC, you have new retinal rim and retinal nerve fiber layer. The retinal nerve fiber layer is the most robust parameter. So I would suggest you should become an expert in the retinal nerve fiber layer evaluation on the OCT. If there is a confusion, you should also know how to interpret the ganglion cell complex, because sometimes earliest changes occur in the ganglion cell complex. You don't have RNFL damage. And many times you have RNFL damage and don't have the ganglion cell complex damage. And of course, you will have defects in the neuroretinal rim. The problem with the macula imaging is that there is no clinical correlation, because with the RNFL defect, you can see the defect on the fundus photograph and correlate with the OCT. On the GCC, to the visible eye, there is no defect. So you are, whatever you are getting on the OCT GCC imaging, you're not able to correlate that clinically. The second issue is, especially elderly patients, they have got age-related macular degeneration or other problems in the macula, and then this parameter is no longer valid. So the retinal nerve fiber layer is the most robust parameter to follow, and this was a systematic review, and over 6,000 patient, 34 studies, they found that RNFL parameters are preferable to macular parameters. However, there is a subgroup where macula parameters are more useful, and that is when you have artifacts in the retinal nerve fiber layer or congenital disc anomalies. And when there is a moderate to advanced glaucoma, then progression you cannot make out on the RNFL because it has reached the floor. I'll explain this later. And in patients with high myopia with peripapillary atrophy, the GCC is more reliable because you get false positive in myopia on the OCT RNFL. The main limitation I already told you, there is no correlation with clinical examination, and you are missing 50% of the ganglion cells when you are just doing the macular GCC imaging. So you're not getting a complete picture as compared to the RNFL OCT. And this just shows you that when you get glaucoma, in early glaucoma, you will have a cutoff between the superior and inferior hemifield. And this sign is known as the temporal raphe sign. So if you have a neuroophthalmic disease, you will have this crossing over to the vertical meridian. In glaucoma, it will not cross. And in addition, in neuroophthalmic disorder, you will get a relative afferent pupillary defect at an early stage. So the macular ganglion cell imaging can also help you to distinguish between neuroophthalmic and glaucomatous disorders, but that is a topic for a separate lecture. I'm not going into that. So concentrate on the retinal nerve fiber layer defect, on the multicolor or the green or the blue reflectance. That is the most robust sign of glaucoma. And nowadays, it is better to do what is known as a white scan. So here you have the combined imaging of the retinal nerve fiber layer as well as the ganglion cell complex in one scan. So you don't need to do two scans. So in the same scan, you will get the retinal nerve fiber layer thickness plus the overlay of the ganglion cell complex. So then it becomes very easy to follow up both the parameters. And just a word on a new thing which has been introduced in the OCT. This is known as the Hood report. And basically what they have done, two major changes. So you know the OCT, you have TS and IT curve. So temporal is on both sides. Here what they have done is that temporal area they have brought in the center. That is because the temporal superior or temporal inferior is the major earliest area to have a glaucomatous damage. So that is now become central instead of being in the two peripheral parts. And then you have a Hood report that tells you the projected area of the visual field damage. So if the patient has a inferior RNFL defect, the Hood report will generate the projected area of the visual field defect that the patient is likely to have. So that is a recent advancement in the OCT. So why the OCT has been there and there is a problem in diagnosing glaucoma using the OCT or any other machine which images the RNFL or the disc. So if you have an ideal diagnostic test, it can easily cut off normal form glaucoma. But the problem is that in the real world scenario, there is a lot of overlap between what is normal and what is glaucoma. So no instrument can tell you a cutoff that at one time this is glaucoma or this is normal. And that is because there is a huge variability. The size of the optic nerve can vary from 0.8 to 6 millimeter square, and the number of axons in the optic nerve vary from zero point 0.7 to 1.7 million. So because of this huge variability, when you do imaging at any one time point, it is very difficult to tell whether this is normal or this is glaucoma. The machine will only tell you that this is within the database or no. So the best way to differentiate is to follow up the patient, and at one time point you cannot differentiate. So what you are doing is you are comparing the patient data against a normative database. However, the best approach is that compare the patient at baseline and then follow up change over time. So you are using the patient baseline data as normal, and then over time you are documenting whether it is changing or no. That is the better way to diagnose glaucoma rather than taking the normative database and finding from there whether the patient has glaucoma or no. There is a problem in the database. So like we have OCT machine, mostly they have huge number of Caucasian population, very less Indian population are there. And if you see the difference, this is the RNFL thickness in the Asian population. Caucasians I'm not considering, just see Asian population. So you can see average RNFL thickness, Chinese population 95.7 and average in Indian population 87.3. So already there is a 10% lower normal RNFL thickness in the Indian population. So if you are going to use the OCT of a Caucasian or other Asian population, you are going to get false positive on the OCT. So that is a problem of using a database. Unless you have a ethnic specific database and all the parameters are correlated to that database, no database will give you an accurate result. Another very important issue is that you follow the patients over lifetime, and as you age, there is a decline in the retinal nerve fiber layer. So on an average, you have 0.52 microns per year decrease in the average retinal nerve fiber layer thickness. So if you see a patient after 10 years, you would have lost 5 micron of the average nerve fiber layer defect. That is not glaucoma. That is the effect of normal healthy patient who is aging. So this must be kept in mind when you analyze data over time, that there is a average decrease in retinal nerve fiber layer of half micron per year. And another important issue is that patients often get one OCT done with one machine and then second OCT with some other ophthalmologist with some other machine. So can we interchange OCT machines? The answer is no. So you can see the average RNFL with Zeiss Cirrus OCT is 90 micron and the average RNFL on Topcon OCT is 106 microns. So when they compared 7 different OCTs for the same eye, the average RNFL thickness range from 90 to 106 micron, because every OCT is using a slightly different algorithm. So whenever you are following up a patient, always use same OCT device, same version. If you change the version software or if you change the OCT, you are going to get a false positive or false negative result. So you cannot interchange the OCT devices. What is the effect of axial length on retinal nerve fiber layer thickness? So this is another important thing to understand, that on an average, there is a 3.3 micron loss of retinal nerve fiber layer for each millimeter increase in the axial length. So as the axial length increases, there will be a thinning of the retinal nerve fiber layer. That is an important thing to keep in mind. Practically, when the patient sits on the OCT, some practical tips to take a good quality OCT: you have to have a central position. You should ask the patient to blink. It's very important that you shouldn't have a direct fan or air conditioning on the patient's eye, because that can disrupt the tear film and give you a poor quality image. Always try to see if there is any lenticular opacity. Patient preferably should be dilated, but check for shallow AC in angle exposure patient. If patient has dry eye or you're not getting a good quality scan, you can always put artificial tears before the scan. And before you put the scan to diagnosis, always check the signal strength. So I see many OCTs coming to my OPD, signal strength is very poor and wrong diagnosis of glaucoma. So every OCT machine has a signal strength cutoff. So for the Zeiss machines, signal strength of more than 7 or 7 or more is good. And always remember, once you have cataract developing or a posterior capsule opacification or dry eye, you get a decrease in the signal strength. So this is one of the patient referred to my OPD. He was diagnosed as glaucoma with cataract and came for second opinion. And on the OCT, you can see there is clear-cut inferior RNFL loss. The inferior quadrant is 53 micron, superior quadrant 108 micron. And signal strength of the OCT was 5 out of 10. So patient underwent cataract surgery. And remember, 108 and 53. And after cataract surgery, this 53 increased to 113. Signal strength is now 9 on 10. So if you get a cataract or a posterior capsule opacification, that can decrease the signal strength, and you will have an underestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer due to cataract. This is not due to glaucoma. So it is very important to get a fresh baseline after cataract surgery, and don't comment if the patient has got a cataract with a poor signal strength. And this is very important when you are checking progression over time on the OCT. So this is a progression chart. You take two baseline OCTs and then subsequent OCTs, you detect progression over time. So you can see this patient, the line is going down. So this is a trend analysis, shows you that the average retinal nerve fiber layer is decreasing over time, and you get these tick values. That means it is progressing. So there is a progression of the inferior, superior, average retinal nerve fiber thickness. And this graph which is going up is the cup disc ratio. So when you see this, it shows you that there is a clear-cut progression of glaucoma in the patient. But what you have missed, see the signal strength. It is 7 on 10 here, and here is 2 on 10, 2 on 10. And this shows you that average retinal nerve fiber layer has decreased from 105 to 85. But if you see the signal strength, 7 on 10, this is 2 on 10. So there is a cataract developing that is causing a poor signal strength, and that is causing false progression. So always check the signal strength before you comment on progression, because if you have cataract or PCO, that will give you a wrong signal strength and false progression. So always check the average RNFL thickness and the signal strength. They should both match the first two readings. Only then you can diagnose the patient as having progression. Now you have a OCT picture in front of you. So how you interpret? 3-4 important things. First is the age of the patient and the signal strength. That is very important. The second most important thing is the thickness map. Now this thickness map is important because it is independent of the database. It is not concerned with the database. So if you carefully evaluate the thickness map, you can tell about glaucoma just by the qualitative analysis. Then you get the deviation map, which is the deviation from the normal population. The TSNIT curve, which overlays the RNFL map. the quadrant thickness, the sector thickness. But the most important thing on the OCT is whether it has captured the boundary of the RNFL correctly or no. So this is what you should be focusing on, whether the OCT has actually captured the RNFL or no. And that is a major cause of fallacy in the OCT. And most people I have seen never see this, the artifact of the retinal nerve fiber layer boundary. So you see the thickness map for any irregularities, and then you can see robust RNFL thickness. And as you develop glaucoma, these red yellow sectors will go away and this will come on the deviation map. And once glaucoma becomes advanced, there is no point doing OCT, because then you do visual field for analysis. So first principle is you have to check whether this patient falls into a normative database or no. So if you have high pathological myopia, congenital disc anomalies, very small or very large disc for age less than 18 years, then there is no normative database for them. So OCT is very highly likely to give you a wrong result. And remember, as myopia increases, there'll be a decrease in RNFL thickness captured on the OCT, and that is why very high chance of getting a false positive on the OCT in myopia. In these patients, try and capture the ganglion cell complex and also repeat the imaging after 6 to 12 months to see progression. Sometimes you get this sort of OCT. So what is the diagnosis? This is a supranormal OCT. Value is going 320 micron. Normally this is around 100. So that shows you a overestimation of the OCT, and this is a myelinated nerve fiber layer which is causing this. But when you have patients of uveitis, you can also get an overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer thickness because of retinal nerve fiber layer edema. So this is one other cause of overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer thickness that you should keep in mind. Especially glaucoma patients may turn out normal if they have uveitis because of this phenomenon of edema. So coming to some examples now, this is a 45-year-old lady, IOP of 2022, and she was sent to my OPD for a second opinion because she was started on therapy because of the abnormal OCT. Now remember, this is a congenital disc anomaly. So this is outside the normative database of the OCT. So this is a false positive OCT scan, and patient has got absolutely healthy disc, no glaucoma, normal visual fields, and you do not need to start any therapy. Now, I just want to explain what is the floor effect. So whenever the retinal nerve fiber thickness goes to about 40 to 50 micron, that is the end stage for the OCT. So you cannot follow up a patient after this, because beyond this you have glial tissue, blood vessels, so it will never come to zero. So on the OCT, 40 to 50 micron is the end stage for following a patient of glaucoma. Patient may progress, but you cannot do OCT to follow up because it has reached the floor effect. It will not progress, it will never come to zero. Remember, it will cut off at 40 to 50 micron. And second important question is that what is the interocular difference in the average OCT suggestive of glaucoma? So what they found was that like you have a cup disc ratio of 0.2 or more. So inter-eye asymmetry of more than 9 microns in the average RNFL thickness is suggestive of glaucoma. And what is the current problem in the OCT? That is due to the artifacts in the OCT. You can see very high incidence. So nearly 50% of patients are going to have artifacts in the OCT. And unless you are aware of this, you are going to get an erroneous result. So about half of the scans can have artifact, and this can lead to either a underestimation or a overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer. And the basic cause is a boundary misinterpretation. So the OCT is wrongly identifying the retinal nerve fiber layer. So normally we are looking at this picture. Now here you see retinal nerve fiber here in the red area, and it has gone to zero. So I told you first principle, RNFL will never go to zero. It will remain at the floor of 40 to 50 microns. So whenever you see this zero, that means there is some problem. Now, if you see this line here, this is RNFL. Here you see it has not captured the RNFL. So the machine has done an error. It has not identified the boundary of the RNFL. And this is a common error you should learn to pick up before you interpret the OCT, whether the OCT has identified the RNFL or no. So here it is wrongly identified. Then what you do, the operator has to manually correct. And now you see it has turned out within normal in this area. So whenever there is a defect, that has to be manually corrected. Now see here, it is coming to 0. If you look up here, this area, it has not imaged the RNFL correctly. So that is why it is coming to 0. So when you manually correct the image, then you get a normal RNFL. So it is very important to see the profile of the RNFL, see whether machine has identified it. If it is not done so, you have to manually correct it. So that is very important principle before I go into detail of any other OCT. Here again you see RNFL damage, but there is a algorithm problem. This is wrongly identified RNFL. So when you correct it manually, you can see the change in the RNFL value. So you have to do a manual correction. There is a lot of problem in the software in identification of the retinal nerve fiber layer. The second other important thing is split RNFL. So many times you will have patients who have got bifid RNFL. So this is a physiological finding. It is not pathological. But on the OCT, you might get two curves, and in between you get a red zone. So this is not pathological, although it be flagged as red. This is a normal split RNFL, which is a physiological normal finding. You can see this double hump within the first hump. So this is a split RNFL. So this is a physiological finding that you should not take as pathological. And patients of myopia, you might get a temporal shifting of the RNFL peak. So RNFL is normal, but it is shifted temporally, and you might get a false positive error. So remember, this is not glaucoma, it is just shifting of the peaks both sides temporally. Then sometimes if you have a motion artifact, you get a break in the blood vessel, like this patient. And if there is a large area of peripapillary atrophy, that may give you a false positive result. Then you have to increase the scan circle. And most important thing is retinal nerve fiber abnormalities due to retinal problems. So you have a epiretinal membrane. This is courtesy of Dr. Rohan Chawla, my colleague. And if you have an epiretinal membrane, then that can lead to a false overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer, because the algorithm is taking the epiretinal membrane as the edge of the retinal nerve fiber layer. So this causes a overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer. Then if you have a partial PVD, it is causing traction and pulling up the retinal nerve fiber layer. And what they found was that partial PVD leads to overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer. So if you have a glaucoma patient who has a partial PVD, it is not going to give you an accurate picture. And once the patient develops a complete PVD, there will be a sudden deterioration of the retinal nerve fiber layer, because it was hitched up due to the traction of the PVD. So remember, partial PVD can lead to overestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer. If you have a vitreous floater, that can lead to, again, this is going to 0. That means there is a problem in imaging. This vitreous floater is casting a shadow and causing underestimation of the retinal nerve fiber layer defect. Now, what about the stages of glaucoma on the OCT? There are 3 stages. First one is called progression in green. Second stage is called pre-perimetric glaucoma. You know, OCT shows damage, but phases are normal. And then you have perimetric glaucoma, where you have OCT damage plus corresponding visual field damage. So these two, you know, this I just want to highlight what is progression in green. So here you are getting RNFL damage, but it is still within the normative database. So it is not going to flag it as pathological. So imagine this is the normal RNFL. It is supranormal here, okay? So if this patient goes down 50%, it will still be within the normative database, but the patient has progressed. So this is called progression in green when there is damage to retinal nerve fiber layer, but it is within the normative database. So for that, you need to do serial OCT over time and see the progression analysis. On one-time OCT, you will get a normal within normal limits. But remember, it has thinned down, but still not reached the red zone. That is called progression in green. Now, one more concept you have to understand: what is green disease. That means the OCT is normal, but the patient has glaucoma. So this is the fallacy of the OCT. Now, in this patient, you can see here you are getting all green, all green. But if you look carefully, I told you thickness map is very important. You see this blue streak here. So there is a RNFL defect occurring, which is picked up on the thickness map. And when you do the fundus imaging, here you see there is a retinal nerve fiber layer defect. So this is the retinal nerve fiber defect which is being picked up on the thickness map, but the OCT is not showing because it is still within the normative database. So this is called green disease. OCT is normal, but there is RNFL damage definitely present. So I'll just conclude with some case study. This is a 45-year-old surgeon referred to me. He is on Travatan. IOP was well controlled, visual field with normal limit. You can see, looks like large cupping. So patient was treated for glaucoma, and this is the HRT showing 5 sectors cross. So patient was diagnosed as glaucoma. But on the OCT imaging, absolutely healthy retinal nerve fiber layer, and this was a large disc with a large cup disc ratio and physiological cupping. So OCT, you could make a diagnosis of healthy RNFL and stop therapy. This is a 51-year-old male patient on treatment, and again fields are normal, and you can see patient is a glaucoma suspect because large cup disc ratio, borderline IOP. But you can see there is a absolutely normal OCT and split RNFL. So physiological cupping, normal OCT, you could stop therapy. So this is a 56-year-old IAS officer recently was referred. So fields are normal, and you have to answer the question whether patient has glaucoma or no. So fields are, nearly within normal limits. On the OCT, left eye shows inferior RNFL damage. So many times what happens, you see the OCT and then you go back. Now see the left eye, there is inferior RNFL damage. So when the OCT flags, you go back and see the fundus picture, and clearly there is an area of RNFL damage. So clear-cut patient has glaucoma, and you are justified in starting therapy. And also left eye has got a higher pressure. So this is my colleague, another doctor at AIIMS, and you can see he was referred as a glaucoma suspect, larger cup disc ratio, and asymmetry between the two eyes, but absolutely normal RNFL, and this was due to hyperopia. There was asymmetric cup disc ratio, so we could rule out on the basis of OCT that he does not have glaucoma. Now this is a 70-year-old hypertensive, IOP 1618, and you can see the fundus photograph, and IOP was 1618, and on OCT you see there is an inferior RNFL defect, and there was a superior visual field defect, and these are patients on atenolol for systemic hypertension. So IOP comes to within normal limit, but you can see there is a damage in the inferior part of the disc and a retinal nerve fiber layer, and this can easily be picked up on the OCT if you miss on clinical examination. This is a 35-year-old male on Travatan, IOP 1616, and he was diagnosed as glaucoma because of very large cup disc ratio and borderline IOPs. Visual fields are normal and absolutely healthy RNFL. So that is the good thing about OCT that you can rule out glaucoma if you have an absolutely healthy RNFL which is matching with the clinical RNFL on imaging. So you can stop Travatan and call the patient after 1 year. So this is a fellow ophthalmologist. So does he have glaucoma or no? You see the disc both sides and then see the RNFL. So very difficult to make out, but when you do the OCT, inferior RNFL loss, and now if you go back and see, there is definitely a inferior retinal nerve fiber layer damage which is occurring here. So many times OCT picks up and then you go back and see that you have missed on clinical examination that there is a RNFL defect, and then you are justified in starting the patient on therapy. This was a patient diagnosed as juvenile open angle glaucoma, very large Kapditz ratio, and this is the OCT. Now here you see patient is 16-year-old. This is not in the normative database. So the operator changed the age to 18 years to get these values. And you see there is temporal superior thing. This is not glaucomatous. And patient is not in the normative database. So absolutely normal visual field. This is called red disease. So OCT is flagging abnormality because it was not in the normative database and absolutely no glaucoma. So this is called red disease. So be very careful of the artifacts, because if you diagnose red disease, then it has a psychological impact on the patient and medical legal issues, and you increase anxiety and the cost because you start the patient on therapy. Whenever there is a disc hemorrhage warning sign, these patients may have or may develop RNFL damage, as you can see here. And if you get this sign, corrugated RNFL, increased thickness, this is sign of, this is my complication, operated trap, hypotony after trabeculectomy, hypotony maculopathy, where you will get this RNFL thickness with corrugated appearance. Although patient has glaucoma due to edema, it is coming within normal limits, but it's a corrugated appearance. So the main take-home message is that OCT can help you to rule out glaucoma. It has a high specificity to rule out glaucoma. So that is one use. You must look at the fundus image of the disc photograph for all patients. Study that. Correlate this photograph with OCT findings. Always check the signal strength. If you are not sure, always redo the scan with the good signal strength. You must learn to read artifacts. You must check for progression. Only after ruling out lenticular changes or PCO. Remember, high myopia, you can get false positives. And the OCT technology is not essential, but it can help you to diagnose and follow up glaucoma patients if you know when and how to use it and when it is not reliable. And if you're not sure, don't worry, just repeat the test after 6 months to 1 year and check is it worsening or no. And never base your diagnosis solely on the OCT. Spend time on reading the disc photograph and the retinal nerve fiber layer photograph. So I'll conclude here, and these are two resources for OCT. One is this masterclass by Professor Kehoe Park at the Asia Pacific Glaucoma website, and this is a educational course from the World Glaucoma Association, which also has a module on the OCT in glaucoma. So I thank you very much for your kind attention, and I pray to God for safety to you and your family during the ongoing COVID epidemic. Thank you very much.